Ooh, let's have a cup of tea. Okay guys, so today we are doing the pass fluid reservoir, which, if you don't know, stands for power assisted steering fluid reservoir. In the C63 W204, it has a filter in it, and not a lot of people know that, and it's not on the service interval. My power steering is slightly noisy, and it really winds me up, because once you've heard it, you can never unhear it. So I'll try and show that in this video here. You probably couldn't hear anything, but I can hear it. There is a slight whining noise, and I know it's a power steering because when you turn the steering wheel, it stops. So you can't hear it when the car's driving along or anything. It's just at slow speeds or idle. If you leave it for a long time, it makes this little noise. So the first thing to do is to do a complete fluid flush and a new reservoir, which should kind of clean out the filter. It will get all the old dirt out of the old filter because the new reservoir's got a new filter in it. I will show you that here. Here's a picture that I've stolen off someone else, and you can see this bit here is the filter. As with most jobs with this car, the first thing to do is to remove the plastic engine cover. There is a special way to remove these, as the metal clips holding it are actually stronger than the plastic. In order to turn the wheels easily from lock to lock, to flush out the fluid, you must jack the front of the car up off the ground. Moving on to the vacuum hoses, these are quite tight, and some silicone spray can assist you with this. The reservoir is located right at the front and centre of the engine bay. I think this is because there's literally nowhere else to put it. The engine bay has so much engine in it. I'm going to be using my Mightyvac fluid extractor to get rid of all the old oil that I can see from the reservoir. I've seen a few people use turkey basters and pipettes for this, so don't worry if you haven't got one. You could also even try this by siphoning, but just make sure that you don't drink this old fluid, as it's nasty stuff. The reservoir is a bit of a funny shape, so there's a couple of pockets on the inside where the fluid can collect. A bit of hose manoeuvring is required to make sure that you get it all. Notice the colour of that there. It should be green really, not brown. I decided at this point that there really wasn't a lot of room to get the hose clamps on the feed and return lines, and so opted to remove the reservoir first to try and free up some more space. There is only one Torx-headed screw holding this reservoir on, and it's a T30. T30. There's a couple of clips that need unclipping to let the reservoir move about. Two little clips down there which I'm going to try and unclip the pipe out of just to free it up. As well as this really stubborn little vacuum line, which I think goes to the PCV. These style clips aren't my favourite. They're really fiddly to remove, and then even fiddlier to put back on. They even make special tools so that you can put them on easily. To prevent any spilling, I'm going to place the whole assembly inside a plastic bag, which I'm pretty sure didn't have any holes in it, but I guess we'll find that out later. The bottom line has even more awkward clips on, so a bit of silicone spray, some pliers and a strong forearm removes it. There's one clip that needs transferring as it didn't come on the new reservoir, and that's this one. The new replacement reservoir from Mercedes comes with bungs to stop the fluid from coming out. Or so I thought. This makes it easier when you're doing the flush. In this moment, you can see me stop and have a really good think about which line is the return line, and then I promptly put the return line, aka the wrong one, back onto the pass reservoir. I then spend a long amount of time grappling with the really fiddly rubbish clip that I told you I didn't like earlier. I got it back on. I did have some of those standard hose clips standing by, but I really like the fully stock look. Okay, so after about 25 minutes of battling and wanting to keep this car looking as stock as possible, I did actually win the battle with the needle nose pliers and got that original clip back on. I'm using Fuchs Titan's CHF 11S as it's British made and is only one of the 2 fluids approved for this car by Mercedes. The other one, yes you guessed it, is the Mercedes own brand fluid, but I have heard that Mercedes just rebottles the Fuchs fluid. Now there's 2 mistakes that are about to be made that I didn't know about, obviously, at the time. I put the reservoir cap back on, which meant that there was nowhere for this pressure to go. When I turn the steering wheel, there is only one way for the fluid to go, which is out of the reservoir via the proper route. Secondly, and yes, I bet you didn't spot it either, I've connected the return line onto the reservoir and not the feed line. This means that the fluid is trying to come out of the system and push itself back into that tiny reservoir with nowhere to go. So guys, as you saw, that went pretty badly. I had the hoses the wrong way around, which is like, you know, it's one of those things. It's a mistake. We all make them, and I regret it because the fluid has leaked onto my new serpentine belt, and you're not meant to get belts wet with oil or fluid or anything. So I'm now going to do it the other way around. I've also lost like half a litre of fluid, which is well annoying. So back to the drawing board, removing the return line and dropping the clip. You can tell that I'm having a great day. I only purchased 2 bottles of fluid, that's 2 litres in total, and about 700 millilitres of that went onto the floor. So I'm slightly worried that I won't have enough fluid to complete the job. I correctly, this time, put the return line into the bottle, which as I turn the steering wheel is going to collect all of the old fluid, and simultaneously I'm going to fill the reservoir up with new fluid. Genius. You see the colour of that? Ugh. I then repeated this process a few times, probably about 15 in total, until all of the old fluid was drained out. So you can see the fluid is changing colour. It's a lot less brown, although it is still slightly brown. But because of the spill, I'm nearly out of fluid. You can see it's pretty much green now, or it's nearly green. Hard to tell on the orange, but just enough fluid. You see that in there, how it's green? Just. I could probably go a little bit more, but I'm completely out of fluid, and I don't want to run it low, but yeah, green. Thank God for that. So I've checked the level now, and we're just on the minimum on the cold, so I'm going to reconnect everything up, contemplate my life about what to do about this belt, and go and have a cup of tea. Make it look easy now. Okay, so that's basically in now. All I've got to do is just reconnect the vacuum lines and stuff up, but what I'm not happy about is all the fluid down here and on the belt and on the pulley, so I'm going to clean that all up, and probably going to put a new belt on it just to be safe. Done. Just for reference, past fluid isn't water soluble, so washing it away with water really won't do much, but at the time it made me feel better. With the car back running, I can hear a little squishy noise, which I don't like the sound of. Okay, so I know what that noise is. I didn't a minute ago. I thought it was just a wet belt, but if I feel the pulley here, the top pulley, it's like got glue on it. So like the past fluid has dried and kind of turned into a glue on this top belt here, on this top pulley here, sorry. So it's like a fly trap, you know, those sticky fly traps. You can see my fingerprint on it there. I'm gonna try and clean that right now and see if it comes off. If not, then yeah, I might get a new pulley as well. So this is where my weekend of cleaning began. I didn't film all of it, but I reckon I spent roughly 6 hours cleaning the idler pulleys. I waited an hour, cleaned it, waited an hour, so on and so forth, just to make sure that once the pulleys dried, there wasn't any residual fluid. Past fluid also makes a mess on your driveway. Okay, it looks worse as I washed it away and it's ran with the water, but still not pretty. I spent about an hour cleaning that too. I thought brake fluid was the worst of all vehicle fluids, but past fluid is a close second. Okay, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and I have extra power steering fluid. This is a self-bleeding system, I didn't mention it earlier, but if there's air in the system, it will bleed itself out. So you don't really need to worry about air bubbles. As well as, again, I have another new belt from Mercedes. So put this on, fill it up with power steering fluid, jobs are good in. I've got my diagram up, you've seen me do this before. Basically my arms just get ruined because there's like no space. The belt back on now, you can tell because, what just hit my arm again? So, and key out. Then we'll do one final check of the routing and then I'll start it up. So now there's no squelchy noise, which is exactly what I wanted. So obviously now I'm just going to try and keep an eye on the power steering fluid level. I'm going to go for a drive and then try and keep an eye on that to make sure there's no leaks. Okay, so I guess the question that you're all asking is, did it work? And the answer is, not really. So it's a little bit better, but it's not as good as I'd like it to be. Now, what's really interesting is I'm a member of loads of Facebook groups to do with Mercedes C63s, and someone actually posted a video yesterday of their car doing exactly the same, and this guy was filming down it, and he was like, is this a normal noise? And everyone commented that sounds absolutely normal. So maybe it's just me being kind of, I don't know, a bit picky, a bit paranoid, but apparently everyone else's sounds like that as well. So hey ho, that's just my brain. So I hope you enjoyed this video. At the very least, it's how you service a past fluid reservoir and do a full flush. Make sure you put the hoses on the right way around. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you very soon. Cheers.